Today's September 15th. The Bucks take 3 of 4 against the Nats. Hayes news, Reynolds homers, Keller deals, Cruz, Hill 15. So much to talk about today. You're listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Let's go. Yins guys, thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh, and I am joined as always by my brother Jake. What's up, Jake?
Hey man, what's going on?
A lot to talk about. I don't know that we'll go too deep into anything, but we just got a lot today. Don't you think?
Yeah, let me start it off by saying good job on the solo episode. Enjoyed myself rubbing. I tell you what, I wore a shirt that you made, actually.
Yeah.
We couldn't get produced, but we do have a couple of them. Popped my jersey open right at the end of the game. Just looked at my wife with my hands raised up in the air, and just the Raise It shirt was underneath it. It was a ton of fun. Happy birthday, Ash. Sorry, we got to go to the one game the Braves lose.
Yeah, they got the series. You're allowed to have a little bit of fun with it.
100%.
All right, so before we get any further in, though, this is going to be a fun episode, but we've got a little bit of a shakeup here today, a little bit of a surprise here today. Are you ready?
Let's go.
You don't have any idea about this.
Apparently not.
You don't. But look who we have on the podcast
today.
Look
at this guy. Look at this guy.
What's up, man? Hey, listen, I just gotta say, I got to hear about your Whataburger. I watched you eat your fruit snacks. Guys, the food alone was worth the trip.
Bro, I love it.
So this is our friend Brock. This is so much fun. So for you guys, just to kind of understand Brock here a little bit, this was the drummer in our old band. We used to play a lot of shows together, have some good times.
He's got the kick drum head behind
I slept on your guys' floor. I do.
Yeah.
I sent a picture of it to Josh, and I told him, I was like, this is it's the only thing that I have hanging up in my house from any of my old bands. Like, I have a couple old shirts framed, but they're in a closet. This is the only thing that I have hanging up in my house.
That's fantastic.
So I've been texting with Brock a little bit, and we're like, man, we got to get you on. And then we were just kind of went with it for a while, and we were like, we got to just surprise Jake with this. He's going to love it.
Dude, it's great.
As soon as he said it was going to be a surprise, I was like, oh yeah, this just makes it even better.
So real quick before we get started, just to kind of have a little bit of an introduction. I mean, other than that, Brock, how did you become a Pirates fan? Because Brock lives in is it still Northeast?
Yeah, I'm Northeast Ohio.
Northeast,
I'm in the Canton area.
Yep.
I mean, growing up, it was all Cleveland sports because that's what I was told I had to be a fan of, And then in 1996, the Cleveland Browns said deuces and went to Baltimore. And the cool kid in my third grade class was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and I wanted to be a cool kid, so I was going to be a Steelers fan too. I'm a Steelers fan, but I never became the cool kid. And then, I fell out of baseball, honestly, for the longest time. I mean, you just kind of start to, I fell in love with music, and that took, every ounce of my focus. So I really didn't start watching baseball again until I started playing with you guys, and which was about around spring training of 2009. And I basically lived at your guys' house the whole almost 2 years that we were in the band together. If we weren't on the road, I was sleeping on your guys' floor. So it was very easy for me to become a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. because I was already a Steelers fan. In the band that I was in previously, I started watching hockey because we played a show with Those Who Fear. It was a band from Pittsburgh. And before the show, they were all standing out around their van listening to the Penguins game. And I was like, you know what? All right, I'm going to start watching hockey. I'm already a Steelers fan, so I'm going to become a Penguins fan. And then like 2 years later, I start watching baseball with you guys, and I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm a Pirates fan. And it just made it so easy to be a Pittsburgh sports fan. And now I've converted my girlfriend to a Pirates fan as well.
Earlier this year, we had gone to a game. I don't know if it was one that we went with you, Jake, or if it was a different one, but might have just been one that me and Katie were at. Yeah, because it was the game that rained a lot. And then literally like the next day, I see Brock post one about him being at the game, and I was like, dang it, we were almost at the same game, which would have been wild.
Yeah.
But
that was actually my girlfriend's first professional sports game also. So it was really cool to be able to take her to a Pirates game.
all right,
Nice.
It sucked that they lost, but it was still really cool to go.
all right, well, oh man, this is fun. I love it. All right, guys, let's talk about, let's start with some transactions a little bit, and then we'll get into the series because Quinn Priester was called up. He was put on the taxi squad Tuesday, added to the active roster Wednesday. Cody Bolton optioned to AAA as a corresponding move on Wednesday. So Priester got an opportunity, been pitching pretty good in AAA, got an opportunity to come up and do it here, and we'll get there. And then also, that came out this week, O'Neal Cruz out for the season. Now, Jake,
we know.
did we already think he was out for the season?
Yeah.
This is like saying the Pirates are not quite eliminated from the playoffs, but like they're not going to be in the playoffs.
Right. Right. I literally just had actually said that to somebody. I'm like, our elimination number is only 4. Like, we still got a chance.
Yeah. 9 if you count the wild card.
9. Okay. Still, yeah, no, I mean, I guess I was expecting to be back in the beginning to mid-August. Like they said, the best case scenario was, but once he wasn't back in August, I'm like, the beginning of August, I'm like, he just sit him down the rest of the year.
Yeah. When they said that he had plateaued and they shut him down, I was like, well, it's over. There's never going to be enough time to do all the things to make it back.
Right.
But officially he's out. And that's unfortunate.
It is.
All right, let's get into the series a little bit. We lose the first game and then still take 3 out of 4. So there's not really a whole lot to complain about there.
Right.
Jackson goes in the first one, 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs. That's, pretty much what we expect at this point. 2 walks, a strikeout. It's just more of that. Abrams gets 2 home runs. I got to tell you, man, the Padres trading away Abrams like this skinny little kid who can play short. 18 home runs this year for him. Like he's a legit player.
Yeah.
He's so good.
You don't have to be big to hit the ball far.
No. Triolo does get his first start at first base. Any thoughts on that?
Good hands, man. He's going to be able to pick it.
It's tall.
He's tall.
Are we for it?
I'm for it. I mean, somebody's got to play there. Might as well be a guy with good hands.
Okay.
Big target.
Yep. When he moved to second, he did make a great relay. Palacios threw it in, caught it on the run, threw it to Hayes to get Dom Smith trying to stretch to a triple. That was an incredible play. One of 2, really good relays in that game.
I think we've talked about it before. Triolo's got a spot on the team if he can play a bunch of positions, especially the infield. You throw first base in there, now he plays all 4 infield positions.
Yeah. Well, we haven't
helps.
seen shortstop at the major league level yet, but
he can in a pinch.
got you. Andujar, Bay, each with a double. We scored 2 runs. I mean, let's move on. 2 for 6 runners of scoring position. So second game, Bailey Falter gets a start because Jake, he's a starting pitcher.
Okay, yeah, for this game.
If you were listening a couple episodes ago, we kind of went at it about like the position of starting pitcher. Anyway, 67 pitches, 6 innings, 4 hits, just 1 run, a walk, 4 strikeouts. But a ton of hard contact. I'm not like saying, wow, great start. It is what it is, right? I think he got away with a lot in this one. Majinski, 2 hits, but held him scoreless. Holderman. This was the Palacios 2-run homer in the second, which really ended up being all they needed. Hayes has a good game, 2 for 3. Sawinski, 2 for 3 with a double, couple walks. One was intentional, but stealing base. I mean, this one, a 5-1 score, but it felt pretty dominant. I guess the difference is 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, 15 guys left on base, 2 innings in a row, leaving the bases loaded. So like it felt like the Pirates were piling it on, but they just couldn't cash it in. The story of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go. Jake, is Colin Selby a starting pitcher?
No.
No, he's an opener. His position is still relief pitcher, though.
Right.
Is Quinn Priester a starter? Not this game.
Not this game.
Anyway, Selby opened up, giving up 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, and it gave up 1 run. Priester came in, and he looked good in AAA.
Starting games.
He goes 4 innings, 4 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 2 homers. But let's actually break it down a little bit, because his first, really 4 innings, he gave up the solo homer in his 4th inning, but he went 4 innings. He'd just given up 1 run. First career homer by Drew Mias. I don't really know how you say his name. I missed it entirely. I missed that entire inning. But anyway, it was his first major league homer. Good for you. Here. That's all you get. You're on the other team. Gets a strikeout, a ground out. He's still good. But he starts the 6th with a walk, a double. It's now another run. A Dom Smith 2-run home run. Another single. His night's over. So it kind of really piled up on him. Baraki gets out of that. Kept the 2-run lead. Majinski, Holderman keep him scoreless through 3 with Baraki. Bednar, another interesting 9th. He gets his 34th save in this, and then 35th today, or Thursday afternoon. I mean, we're not nervous, right, Brock? You're not nervous about Bednar. We lost your. Oh wait, no, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I was for a minute. There for a little while, I was kind of nervous about him. I mean, him and Mitch Keller both. I mean, I didn't watch the whole All-Star game. What I did see was I turned it on just in time to watch Mitch Keller give up a home run. And then I just was like, okay, that's probably how the Pirates season is going to go from here on out. And I mean, we had, 2 months or month and a half, whatever, of Keller and Bednar both struggling a lot. And I feel like it's not just those two either. It's, our entire pitching staff is having a lot of trouble with control and finding where they need to locate the ball. And Bednar has been, one of those guys that you really want to lean on in times where the game is close. You like the Wednesday game, that one we won by 1 point, right, or 1 run, correct?
Yeah, yeah, and that was the
7-6 game.
Yep, and we were up 2, and he gave up 1. Yeah,
and so you bring Bednar in those situations, and you hope that he's not going to let anybody else come across, and it's been very hit or miss. I'm not worried, but I hope that these struggles that he's been having, especially since the All-Star break, I hope that they don't continue into next year, because next year we're hoping to see an even bigger improvement in this team. And, Bednar is one of those guys that we have to lean on in order to get, to a wild card spot.
Yeah, he starts off the inning with a walk, gives up a single to right field. And then so play at first was challenged. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Keibert Ruiz singles, ground ball to first. And then, so that scores Blankenhorn, who he walked. First and second, we get a force out to second, not able to finish the double play there. I mean, it kind of brought him over. A little bit of like defensive mistakes here as well. It wasn't just all Bednar, really. But
For sure.
then you get the walk to Vargas, and it's like bases loaded. It's a 1-run game. Like, what are you doing? And then he comes back. He gets C.J. Abrams to strike out and Lane Thomas to fly out to center to end the game. But it just had that feeling. But then as soon as he got to 3-2 to C.J. Abrams, I believe too. And he got to 3-2. And it just felt like, what are you doing? And finally, he just was like, down the middle, here's my fastball. Hit it, you can name it. And he swung and missed. And it just felt like Bednar became Bednar again for just 2 hitters. But he had to load the bases first. And it was like, come on, bro. We got to do better.
Yeah. We don't need those stressful situations.
He's playing the bend not break game, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like when my Apple Watch goes off and tells me to breathe during a Pirates game. Now, come on.
Brian Reynolds 3 for 4 in that game. 2-run homer off the very top of the foul pole. Hayes 1 for 4 with a double. Palacios and Peguero 2 for 4 with an RBI for each of them. Sawinski hit again. And basically the Bucs spoiled Jackson Rutledge's major league debut. 3 2/3, 10 hits, 7 runs, a walk and 2 strikeouts. So that's that.
Hey, Jake, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
As a pitcher, a former pitcher, did you ever get hit in the dome piece by your catcher whenever he was trying to throw to second?
No, I did not. I ducked.
Well, I mean, I guess you're also not that tall either, so
Right.
It's a little easier for
It was easier to get it over my head.
Yeah. That's funny. Jake says nobody was ever on first. Ooh. I only gave up doubles. So,
I gave up a lot of weak contact when I gave up contact. So there was a lot of singles.
Yeah,
that
that's
turned
true.
into double plays.
Oh, see, there's some confidence.
So I will say this. I was in a game in Arizona when I was in college. First 2 guys reached, third guy hit into a triple play. And that was fun to be a part of. Ground ball to third, and they stepped on it and then turned a double play.
There you go.
I didn't really do anything but throw a changeup, but, my defense picked me up.
Yeah. So the Thursday afternoon, the story really was Mitch Keller hoping for a bounce back start there, and sheesh. 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, and it really wasn't even the strikeout. Like a lot of early contact. The sweeper was filthy. Day game, did either of you get a chance to actually watch the game live?
I was working.
Brock, I think we lost you there. He's having a little bit of audio. He can just switch the mic off and turn it back on. We were connected a little bit before, just kind of ironing some of that
You got
out.
me.
Got you now.
All right. Sorry. So I had the game on my iPad while I was at work.
Okay.
But I'm in the kitchen cooking. so it's a little hard to really pay attention to it. From what I did see, I thought Keller looked great. But was it Keller was looking good, or because we had Angel Hernandez behind the dish?
Well, there was a lot of it. And I will say, Greg Brown must have been told not to talk about it because it was I mean, it was very early on. We were like, hey, this is a good time to remind everybody Angel Hernandez is behind the plate. This is going to be ugly. And it was. But there was one point in like the fourth or fifth that there was a ball that was way off. And Greg Brown's like, he gets the call. And then there was a pause and he says, like, great frame job. And then Bob Watt goes, there's been a lot of good frame jobs here tonight. And I'm like, yeah, they definitely told them not to talk smack about Angel Hernandez.
Oh, man.
Maybe we have a reason for that we'll get into next. But the sweeper was really filthy, though. It didn't get it got some swings and misses, but I mean, starting them at the hands and over the middle, but like their swings were so far off. But the real kind of deal was like he threw a lot of fastballs again, a lot of fastball cutter mix. It was a lot of it. And I remember watching saying like, man, that sweeper's really good. But when you look at it, it was really just a lot of fastballs. And that was good to see. I wanted him to go the ninth, but they even said afterwards that like the velo was down his last 2 innings. And so 92 pitches, he could have went one more, but I think the way to look at it was you got to beat this team. You got to finish this. It's a 2-0 game. You want to take 3 of 4. You do not want to split with the Nationals. You got to beat these types of teams, right? Mm-hmm. And so that became maybe the priority over, trying to go an extra inning when his velocity's dropping. And what it means is Bednar went 2 straight days. So he's not available. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, I forget what they've been going with, but he's at least not available Friday night. But he could be available Saturday, maybe not till Sunday. I don't really know. I don't remember how they've been doing it, but it is kind of a trade-off to put Bednar out there. And Sawinski hit a home run, and Jake, wouldn't you know it? First pitch swinging. Yeah, that's good. Let's do that.
Let's go.
Cutter right down the middle. Sawinski jumps on it. And really was the final blow. I mean, it made it 1-0, but that's really all we needed. Rivas hit a home run later on, and 2-0 was the final. But 25th home run for Sawinski, and he said after the game that he was ready for it, and that's the biggest thing. And I feel like a lot of times he wants to see it first, right? And he was able to jump on it and go get it. And I think that's huge for someone like Sawinski.
It is huge.
If he can continue.
25's good too. I mean,
yeah.
Let's not brush past the fact that dude's got 25 home runs, and we're trying to have people trying to send him to AA.
Yeah, and he's hitting again. He's back up.
It's like, dude,
I saw some numbers there. I don't have them in front of me here, but it was like in his last 15 games, he's hitting like 320 or something like that.
He's raking right now.
So I mean, like, it just seems like every night it's 1 or 2 hits. Actually, I can pull up the last 7 games, 417. Last 15 games, 333 with 4 home runs. I mean, we know that this is what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he starts hitting, he hits in bunches, and I don't know. I don't know if this is the episode to talk about like what he needs to do, because we've got enough to talk about. But let's get back to the Angel Hernandez thing. At least let's get back to some of the things we're going to talk about. And I recorded Monday's episode Sunday night, but totally missed. I don't know if I recorded too early or if I just totally missed Key Brian Hayes tweeting out, putting the umpire on blast from Sunday's game. And so while some people had that on their Monday episode, we did not, which is maybe a good thing because I get to get your guys' take on this too. But Hayes calling out the umpire. Do we have that tweet? I will find it. What do you guys think about this?
Interesting. I think it's interesting. I'll start with that because I agree. Some of them, the calls were not good, but having a player call for automatic ball strike, I don't know, man. That's bold to say. I don't really like it. I don't like him going public with this. Blasting it on Twitter. I don't know, man. I'm indifferent about it. I like the fact that he's showing that he cares enough to be mad about it, but at the same time, I don't really care for the way he went about it.
It seems like he removed it. Oh, nope.
Probably
Got
had
it.
to.
Nope, got it. Some umpires really don't care. 3-1 call, not even close. And he has a picture of the 3-1 call, and it is not close. It
No.
is so bad. I'll throw this up there real quick for those on YouTube. That's a bad call. I don't want to keep it too long because Brock is not on there. But yeah, real bad call. And the thing is, and I think he doesn't share it because it's a bad call. I think what happens is he says, I hold him accountable after the game. So he had words after the game, walking off the field, and he responded with the shrug shoulders and said, I gave you a chance to hit a homer. Like saying, you're going to get another pitch now that I called that a strike.
Right.
And
Which is not professional at all.
And Key says, that tells me you don't care at all. No accountability. And then says, bring the ABS, please. And tags MLB. So he's calling for the automatic ball strike system. Go back to episode 158, our Labor Day episode. We went into depth about the automatic ball strike system and all the stuff there. Go listen to that one. For if you didn't already, a lot of good stuff there. But it's interesting to hear a player calling it out, and Ke'Bryan Hayes, who's not really a super outspoken guy.
Right. I wish he would have said, please let us challenge. Which is part of ABS.
It is.
I get that. But
yeah. I don't see it coming in any other way, but maybe. I don't know. But so like Angel Hernandez is a different story, right? We understand that.
Well, the MLB needs to take action with this guy. It's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not
whenever
behind the
you
plate
can-
that much anymore.
And he shouldn't be. And whenever you can prove in a court of law that he's the worst umpire in the MLB, then you should have some grounds in the union to be able to get rid of the guy. I mean, absolutely no reason for him to be calling balls and strikes.
Yeah. And in this case, if it wasn't a 4-game series, we probably don't see him behind the plate either. You know what I mean?
Now, the thing that's funny about this, too, is I told my girlfriend that I thought that Thursday would be the game that we were going to lose during the National Series. And I only thought it just because I knew we were going to have Hernandez calling balls and strikes.
That's good. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, some of the calls have been really bad, no matter which way they're going or what it is. I thought it was interesting that it was Hayes, and I just wanted to get your piece on that. Any other thoughts on that before we move on to the next one? Any other thoughts on umpires in general?
I love reading the ump scorecards in the morning. I can't wait to look at tomorrow's or Friday's to see the Thursday game with Hernandez. And it's not just Hernandez that's bad. It's most of them. There's a lot of them that are way off a lot, and it gets very frustrating. I know
Uh-oh. We lost him. We lost him. Well, we'll keep it. Ooh. He came back for a second. Let's pause it and give him a second to see if we can get him to come back.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're back.
All right. So I'm listening to these other podcasts and these Pirates pundits talk about, everybody on the team got a hit except for Sawinski. He struck out. It's like, okay, but if you look at a lot of the pitches, at least I don't go as deep as what you guys do as far as I just recently started looking at the ump scorecards, but there was a game specifically that I remember, and I wish I could remember who they were playing. I want to say it might have been the Twins series, but 2 outs, There's runners, I'm pretty sure, on first and second, full count, and the pitch is high outside, and Swinsky gets called for a strike three.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next inning, no outs, Rivas is up to bat, full count, pitch in the exact same spot, ball four. So it's like, do you really get mad at these guys for not swinging at pitches that even me as a not professional baseball player is probably going to let go past me? Like, I'm looking at that ball as, yeah, that looks like ball four. I'm going to take the walk. I'm not going to reach out and try to hit it out of my zone. So I don't get upset whenever I'm watching the box that we see on the TV, and I see where those pitches are hitting, and it's like, you got them coming in the same spot and you're calling it different for different batters. So I don't get mad at Swinsky or whoever else for striking out the way that they do sometimes. Now, if they're just standing there with the bat on their shoulder and it comes right down the middle, okay, yeah, I'm going to get a little upset with you then. But those outside pitches and those, I mean, that one, it was like right after Key Brian Hayes came back. Same situation. It's in the ninth inning. There's runners on 3-2. The ball is high, and he gets called a strike three, and just turns around and walks off. And it's like, can't do anything about it. He called a strike three at my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get mad at these players for not swinging at stupid pitches?
And that's interesting because a lot of times when we talk about the box that's on TV and we say, well, that's not necessarily accurate, but like, you're comparing two different pitches using the box as a guide, saying they're in the same spot. One's a strike, one's a ball. And so, I don't know if the human element comes in there, if he was supposed to throw it there for one guy and not for another guy. If that's the case, maybe an umpire will reward you a little bit off if you were trying to throw it there, where if he was trying to throw it low and he missed up there. Like, I don't remember the situation, but with all of that said, like, where are you at with automatic ball strike system? Are you saying bring it on because this is terrible and you want everything? Or are you more of a challenge system, assuming you did listen to the Labor Day?
I did, yeah. I'm for the challenge system.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should be able to challenge every pitch. I think that, more in full count situations, be able to challenge those ones maybe a little bit more than, I understand how, if an ump calls, with the 1-1 pitch, how it changes the probability and all that stuff. I understand that. But I don't want to sit through a 4-hour game because Angel Hernandez is getting every single pitch challenged.
Yeah.
Or CB Buckner, we'll throw him in there too.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit through a 4-hour game just to watch replays over and over again. But if you want to challenge some of the important stuff, like that 3-2 pitch that got called a strike that you're pretty sure was a ball, go for it. But I don't want to completely lose that human element.
Sure.
But I will also sit here and tell you, I agree with everybody that, that pitch that Bednar threw to Contreras that was way outside was not a strike.
Yeah.
And that should not have won the game against the Brewers. I am not, too vain to admit that. Like,
yeah. And in that case, it was going both ways.
It.
So it was kind of like, well, yeah, we got them. At least we get the calls too.
Yeah, and after that game was over, because I was watching that one at work also, and the guy that I was working with was like, "Oh, that was not a strike." And he's a Guardians fan. He's like, "That's not a strike." I'm like, "I agree, but I'll take the win right now."
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so that's good. That's good. Good on you, Key. Hopefully you don't get fined for that. But I was saying that to say, like, is that why Greg Brown wouldn't say anything? Like, well, we don't need the Pirates just complaining all the time. I also said early on, like, Mitch Keller got in trouble against the Braves because of his get me over pitches, and they were just attacking them, right? And Washington was swinging early a lot of 1 or 2 pitch at bats. And I at first I thought, well, they're swinging early because they don't want Angel Hernandez to to call me out. So I got to swing whenever. And I thought the same thing for Sawinski. And I said at the beginning of the game, you watch today. Hitters all day will swing early because they know they can't get to 2 strikes. And that's exactly what happened. However, it could have been the Nationals also saying, hey, the Braves jumped on him on early pitches, so let's jump on him. And, I mean, Mitch Keller came back and threw effective first pitches. And so I thought that, was a big part of his game, but also just to say, like, I think that Angel Hernandez played a little bit of a part in the approach of both teams today because they were swinging early and often for both teams. And Josiah Gray was good too.
Kudos to Keller though too, because I mean, you get roughed up in a game and they're attacking you early. You take note. Okay, probably just shouldn't just groove a fastball first pitch. Let's start, making quality pitches from pitch 1 of an at bat.
Yeah,
should be something you should
they were
already be
swinging.
practicing, but
yeah.
The Nats were swinging early the whole entire series too, because I mean, I think it was Wednesday's game. They brought up the stats because I don't have MLB TV, so I find different ways to stream the game that are allegedly illegal. So the one stream that I was able to find for the Wednesday game was the Nationals broadcast, and they brought up the stats for Abrams swinging at for the first pitch, and I can't remember what it was, but it was like 3 something, and they even said it doesn't work out for him every time, but he almost always makes contact with that first pitch.
Yeah. I was trying to look back at maybe some of the pitch counts. I mean, Falter, 6 innings, only threw 67 pitches. So that, you know what I mean? That's another indication of a lot of small count. Jackson's 63 pitches.
His first inning, wasn't his first inning like 5 pitches for Falter?
I got it right here. First pitch swinging for Abrams. Lane Thomas swung at the second pitch. And 5 pitches to Keibert Ruiz. So,
8.
8 pitches.
8.
So, yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, that's a good point. They probably were swinging early the whole series.
Yeah, they were.
So,
They
even
were trying to
especially
jump
maybe
on
for
everybody.
Keller then to be keying in on that, then, hey, I can't go out there and do the same thing I just did. They're going to be swinging.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what hurt us a lot in Monday's game was that they were coming up ready to attack, and Pirates defense was not ready for that.
Yeah, and Jackson either. Well, speaking of grooving pitches down the middle, we have to cover this too. And this was something that we weren't Jake. I have to take my shots when I have an opportunity. I got brought into this, but Rich Hill was placed on waivers. Guys, just stop. A ton of Pirates accounts and fans calling for the Bucks to bring this guy back. Obviously, he cleared waivers and will stay on the Padres for the rest of the season unless they decide they just don't want him. But of course he cleared waivers, man. He's cooked. Nobody wants this guy.
Right.
So Jesse, Twitter, JPaulB31, tags us saying that I might have a meltdown if they bring him back. And he's exactly right. I would have a meltdown. I even tweeted, stop with the posts about wanting Jerk Hill back. I had to. The last thing these young guys need is an old has-been yelling at them because he threw a breaking ball down the middle of the plate to the 3rd straight hitter. Guys, it's just not worth it. And I've even heard people say that they would only be interested in bringing him back if he was willing to sign for next year. What am I missing here? How are we okay with Grandpa Joe coming in here yelling at everyone.
First off, that's a good candy shop. If you've never been to Grandpa Joe's, find one. It's good. No, like I'm must be missing something as well. I thought verbal abuse has kind of been on the downfall, but he puts it out on display every time he hangs a curveball. It's ridiculous.
Brock, you got anything here?
I don't need him back. There's going to be so many other pitchers that in free agency next year. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Give me one good reason why Rich Hill is the guy for us to bring back. And it's not because he's a left-handed pitcher. That's not a good reason, because you know what? There's a lot of other good left-handed pitchers that are going to be coming into free agency next year that the Pirates could have a chance with. Wasting money on a Rich Hill contract is stupid.
He's terrible.
Stupid.
It wouldn't
Don't
even be
do it.
wasting the money. Like, it's wasting a roster spot.
Well, it's
Because
also
you're not
they're
going to
saying-
pay him any money.
Yeah, and they're also saying like, well, but to be fair, the thing is we could use those innings. Right now we're really looking at 2 starting pitchers, right? If Quinn Priester, you need Quinn Priester to make a couple more starts. He needs to do that for his growth. And Bailey Falter and Andre Jackson, maybe not, but why are we saying that Ortiz and even Roanzi might not? You know what I mean? Like, why are we not saying that they can't get another shot? And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. There's 15 more games. We don't need him for 3 starts.
No,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not, you just don't need it.
No, not at all. You don't need him for 3 starts this year. You don't need him for any starts next year. There's no reason to have him out there yelling at the players and just having all of these young guys lose all of their confidence and get demoralized. And I don't want to have to try to pay attention to the way the rotation goes so that I know which game I don't want to go to next season.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. All right, so let's talk.
I don't want to give my money to the Pirates to watch Rich Hill go out there and scream at the rest of our players.
Right. So let's talk about those 15 more games, and let's talk a little bit about how the Pirates have looked recently, because I think that it's maybe sneaking up on some people that the Pirates really haven't been that bad. It feels that way because I feel like since the All-Star break, we've not had a starting rotation. But here we are. What are we? 20. I have it written down here. I thought I had it written down here. Second half, 491 winning percentage. It's 1 game under 500.
Yeah.
28 and 29, something like that. And yeah, it's 28 and 29. That's a better winning percentage than we had in the first half, even with that April of 19 and 9 or 19 and 8 and a 20 and 8 record after, you know what I mean, considering the first win. I guess it was 19 and I don't know, either way. But with that big April start, the first half, which was 90 games, 456 winning percentage, by the way, just going to pat my back a little bit here. That equals out to 73 wins, which is what my prediction was. Also, the second half right now, it's only 57 games, so a little bit smaller sample, but a much better. I mean, you're 1 game away. They win their next game. They're a 500 team in the second half. And, it's close to that, and you've done that with mostly 2 effective starting pitchers in one form or another. You know what I mean? You got 15 more games. You got 5 more series. We've got the Yankees, and then we're on the road in Chicago against the Cubs and in Cincinnati against the Reds and Philadelphia. And then come back home for Miami for 3. They're each 3-game series, 5 series, 15 games. What are realistic expectations for this? And just to paint a little bit, they're 11-5 in their last 16 games. If they go 9-6, they get to Jake's prediction of 78 wins. If they just go 8-7, they finish the second half 500 in 72 games. And obviously, if they want to go 500 on the season, they got to go 12-3. Unlikely that they go 12-3, but just to throw that out there. But what are the expectations, Brock? We'll start with you. What are you kind of thinking? Last 15 games, where are you at?
I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I know the Yankees have had their struggles this year, but they're still the Yankees, and they're still a solid baseball club. Then after that, you go into the Cubs and the Reds and the Phillies and the Marlins and all these teams that are fighting for a wild card spot or fighting for to be in to play in October.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be a real interesting rest of the season. And I feel like as Pirates fans, we say that every year. Really have a chance to play spoiler for some teams. And it's the truth. I don't expect us to do great, but I still hope to see some improvement from our young players. And that's, these guys are young, so getting in there so that they can play against somebody like Aaron Judge, I think is good for them. Getting to see how, some of these major league ball players carry themselves and how they are at the plate and on the mound, I think it's going to be really good for our young guys. I'm excited for the rest of the season. I don't want it to be over.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, the Yankees right now sitting at even 500 coming into this. So, yeah, I mean, obviously not a great season for the Yankees, but even 500, that's better than we are right now. So, but then you go and every other team, I mean, the Phillies and the Cubs they have a wild card spot, and Cincinnati is in a 3-way tie for the third wild card spot, and Miami's only a half game out of that. So you are facing, after the Yankees series this weekend, you're on the road for 3 series against teams that are fighting for a postseason spot. And I mean, you can play spoiler a lot, but also, I mean, you have a chance. I mean, the Cubs they're not in it all the way. They're only 2.5 games up on their spot, and that 3-way tie is their 2.5 spots. So they've got 3 teams that have the ability to jump over them, not just one team, and then some other teams behind there. So I mean, they've got their work cut out for them. They've got to play well, and they're only 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost 2 straight. So, and they go and they play Arizona this weekend, who's one of the teams that are in that 3-way tie. I mean, it's tough for all these teams, right? I think Philadelphia's in a good spot. I think they're on their way to the postseason. They're 4 games up right now, but they haven't been playing well, but that's not really fair. They just lost the series to the Braves, which right now is, that's anyone.
It's par for the course.
So
yeah.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, exactly. But they do have, I mean, they have St. Louis coming up. And so, you know what I mean? If they take care of business there, they're going to be well on their way. But it is, I mean, it's really interesting. And we do have a tough road as far as sometimes it'd be easier to play the Braves or the Dodgers, guys that are, a little more comfortable where they are. Jake, before I go into this next question, like where are your expectations here? What do you see?
I mean, I honestly, like I'll tell you, the Yankees are the Yankees, but the way we're playing right now, I fully expect to take 2 out of 3 against them
At home. I think that's fair.
I'm
no Keller,
like
though.
we're no Keller, and we got to face Cole, and that'll probably be the game we lose. But that's fine.
That's the tough piece of it, right? Because you have Oviedo going.
Yeah.
Right. No, dude's a horse, right? Jeez. Thunder thighs. Anyway, dude, he's a big dude, man. He's got so much potential just in his body size, his body type. Like, come on. We got him. This kid. Anyway, I expect to be able to take 2 out of 3 against the Yankees at home. And then from there, not expectation here, but my hope is we can just get the Cubs out of the playoffs completely.
Huh?
Like, that'd be fun.
If Arizona does some work this weekend, we'd be in a good spot to do something like that.
Right? And at the same time, Cincinnati, I kind of want him to make the playoffs because, and I know they've already extended him anyway, but just keep that manager there. He stinks. He's terrible, and sometimes it just makes me smile that they have a terrible. I'm just kidding, but no, I mean, I think it's fair to say we're seven seven wins down the stretch. That's take two from the Yankees and get two from someone else, and get one in each series, each of the other three series.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. So the next question would be, let's say they do go on a little bit of a run. They get all the way up to 78 wins, as you predicted, Jake. And I know that prediction included O'Neal Cruz, but do we necessarily want them to? How much of a fan do we take this angle and say, well, we want them to win games? Yeah, that's going to be more fun to finish the year playing well. Is there any of you, and I'm going to go two different directions with this, because you want those players to taste beating good teams and you want them to say, well, this might help them go to the next spot. The problem is if it involves Andujar and I don't want to, Palacios, I feel like could have a spot on this team, and I don't want to go into what we project necessarily. We're going to have some more episodes about that, but if it ends up being like Andujar or Bailey Falter has a really great game, or Andre Jackson, and then, you know what I mean? Like some of these guys, Rivas ends up hitting a big 3-run homer that wins us a game or something like that. If it's those guys that are winning those games, does that actually do more damage with the front office saying like, no, I'd like to see more from Andujar? Because I know we wouldn't. Greg Brown would. Oh, Jake, you're pausing a little bit. You don't mind Andujar. You really don't.
I really don't. And I'm not jumping on an Andujar bandwagon by any stretch of the imagination. But I can't help but think that dude was a stud his first year.
It's so long ago.
It was so long ago, but he's not that old either.
Yeah.
I just think he has a chance to get back to that.
Okay,
And
but here's the thing.
I'm not throwing him in the garbage can yet, but I'm also not giving him a spot yet.
But here's the thing. Do you want him or do you want McCutchen? Because that's all he really offers.
Yeah, and that's fair. And in that point, to that point, yeah, I'd rather have McCutchen.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
The other piece is, let's say Bailey Falter deals. Let's say Andre Jackson has a great game and throws 8 shutout innings one of these games. What if they say, you know what, Bailey Falter's really looked good since he came over to the Pirates. Hey, Brock, I know you said there's a bunch of free agent lefties out there, but I think we're going to ride with Falter now. We're not going to go spend that money. We're going to ride with Bailey Falter now because we actually won some games at the end. Does that do more damage than it does help some of the young guys when they win?
I mean, it definitely could. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that, I hope that they've seen enough throughout the, how long these guys have been there, with like Rivas and Bailey Falter. Bailey Falter, I'm kind of hit or miss on him. It's, sometimes he has a really solid outing, and then other times I'm like, he's not a starter. He should be a relief guy. Let him come in as somebody that only sees the lineup once, later on in the game, and then bring in Bednar to finish it out or something. I see him most of the time more as a relief pitcher, which with the opener he kind of has been. So I'm not too worried about us keeping Falter. It's more just keeping Falter in a starting position.
That's it. Yeah.
With Rivas, I think that he's a solid enough player, but he's not somebody that I want to see on the field for us next year. I want somebody that can stretch out a little bit more and get those balls that are going over Rivas's head maybe somebody else has a better chance
This is a
at.
short joke. Is this turning into a short joke? Jeez.
I would
Is he
never
short?
make fun of short people. He's like, we look. My girlfriend, a lot of times whenever we're watching the games, she'll ask me how tall somebody is. So we look it up. And I want to say Rivas was like 5'7", 5'8".
5'10" is listed. Of course, those are. I mean,
Okay.
Nick Gonzalez is also listed at 5'9", and he's not 5'9". but yeah, I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't really think about it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So, I
interesting.
mean, it's like you kind of have, somebody like Triolo, who I'm not saying let's put Triolo at first base
Yeah.
consistently, but what I am saying is that you have somebody like Triolo who is good on the corner and can stretch out a little bit more for some of those balls than what somebody like Alfonso Rivas can. And that's not me throwing shade at Rivas. It's just I would prefer to see somebody else in that position.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
I think our front office is smart enough to not do that. I
There you
think
go.
this is a new regime. It's not the same guys that did reward. They're going to look at the whole body of work. They're not going to look at, oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
had a nice start at the end of the year. Like, okay, then let him figure the rest of it out later
I
with somebody else.
I think my pause with that is that he did this with Anthony Alford. He did this just this year with Miguel Andujar. He saw just enough to say, let's keep him around. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
but he
so
was also quick to pull the trigger to send him to AAA.
yeah,
And
well,
to cut
yeah,
him.
he ended up down. But we've just seen it. Now the question is whether or not he sees next year as a like let's win year, or is this another this was the fourth year. There's 4 years in a rebuild. Next year should not be that. And we're going to talk about that in other episodes upcoming. I don't want to go too far with the time here, but I mean, it is interesting to kind of think about that. And maybe that's just like the pessimistic part of being a Pirates fan and saying that you don't want to see these guys back. You want to see them going out and getting starting pitchers. And by the way, Bailey Falter, I think, is a good depth piece. If he's probably going to pitch. There's going to be injuries there. I just don't want to ride with him saying like we're going to give him a shot. I think it needs to be he doesn't really have a shot, but he will be there for depth. And I think that's the big thing. He's going to start in AAA. I don't know where his options are, but assuming he has an option to go to AAA, that's where I see Bailey Falter. I wouldn't completely give up on him either. Rivas, on the other hand, Andujar, I mean, like I said, there's other guys that I'm willing to say, like, we need the roster spots. Bailey Falter, on the other hand, is a guy who I just don't want to go into spring training with him even competing for a spot. You know what I mean? And that's the part where I don't want to wish that he does bad. I want him to do good. I want Peguero and Hayes and Reynolds and Sawinski to get a taste of winning. I just really hope that it's not like, hey, we saw what this team can do at the end of the year. Let's add Cruz to it and let's roll. And it's like, no, go sign somebody.
Yeah. Push this team over the
even if
edge,
you just
not ride it.
Right. I mean, if you keep Falter, you're still only looking at 3 starting pitchers, so you still have to go out and sign some other people because you can't guarantee you can't hold a spot open for Paul Skeens because you don't know what he's going to be like next year in the minors. You don't know if he's going to get hurt. You don't we don't know the future, so you have to go into next season. If you are trying to say that this team is going to compete for a wild card spot, this team is going to play in October, then you have to put together a rotation, which means you need 5 starting pitchers. If one of those guys is Quinn Priester, that's fine, as long as he can figure his stuff out in the offseason. And then, but you still have, you've got to be able to fill that rotation.
Yep.
This whole opener and then a bulk guy thing, you guys have talked about it a lot. I don't need to, I feel the same way that Jake does for the most part on it. So I'm tired of seeing it. I don't want to see it next year. So give me a starting rotation, please. Give me 5 guys that can go out there, and I don't have to be worried. Mitch Keller can still be the guy that we're going to lean on. Oviedo can still be, Oviedo. He can still do his thing. Hopefully he gets a little bit more consistent in the offseason, can come back next year, able to locate his spots better, more consistently. But give me 5 starting pitchers, please. That is the only thing I am asking. If you want to spend all of your money on starting pitchers next year and put Jared Triolo at first base and, have Connor Joe play first base and send him over to, Triolo over to third, so that, no, I don't, I'm not really asking for it either, Jake. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna spend the money, spend it on pitching.
I agree.
Yes, please find us an everyday first baseman, but the most of the money in this offseason has to go towards the pitching.
Yeah, and that's a question of how many guys are they really going to sign, and you know what I mean? Do you go one pitcher, one first base? Do you go big on one of them? Or I will say the same thing. If you get 2 starters, then I'm kind of okay piecing together first base for a minute. You know what I mean? And then if we're in it, maybe there's somebody available. But I'd like to see him go after some guys too. And we'll talk about that in the coming weeks. We are getting, we're over our time, but that's fine. We can still roll here. This is a fun one. We got Brock on here, and this has been a good time. Yankees coming to town. Roberto Clemente Day, kind of Roberto Clemente weekend at PNC Park. If you guys are thinking about going to a game, I know that we are talking about it. We're trying to get there for Saturday. I don't really know what it looks like yet, but we'll see. I know that me and my family are trying to get there this weekend. So I do have one more thing. Here. And I have to share my screen, which means Brock, you're gonna go away because I didn't set up the screen. You're gonna still be here. Your audio will still be here, but for those watching on YouTube,
I know
you will not be seeing him. But I just have to. I have to, guys. So we had Brock on the episode today. You guys have got to see this. This is from back in the day. A little video of us playing a show back with Brock, and I'm gonna go easy on the volume at first, and we'll come up. But here's a little clip, and you guys got to know that this is Jake in the red shirt with the long hair, and this was back in the day, and you guys probably remember this.
Oh my gosh,
this was my last show, man.
Yeah,
that was my last show too.
It was. A little flashback there, guys.
When we bringing Nate on?
I know, right? Jake with that long hair, though.
Sometimes I miss it. Most of the time I don't.
Oh, then there's Kurt right there in the front too.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah, those were good times, fellas.
They were good times. I had to play something. We were talking about it, and Katie was like, "You got to have something. You got to go with something, a picture or a video or something." I was like, "I gotta bring something up."
I thought for sure you were gonna close out the episode with one of our songs. I didn't know you were gonna pull up the clip. That's great.
I thought about that too, and I was like, "Well, we'll just go with this." But that's pretty good. Oh, Brock, I think we lost your audio again. One more time. We can sign off if you can switch that up. We can sign off. But guys, make it to a game this weekend if you can. If not, there's still one more chance. Miami's coming to town at the end of the month. We will not be able to go in that weekend. So let's see if we can get a series dub against the Yankees. Brock, thanks again for coming on and surprising Jake. It was awesome.
hey, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Sorry that for those of you who just don't care about the fact that we used to play in a band, but that I can say this, that piece was for us, and we're enjoying that a little bit. So if you don't like it, you know what? You probably didn't last this long in the episode anyway.
They probably left as soon as they heard me start talking.
Or when they stopped hearing you talking. Hey, we lost your mic. All right, guys. Jake, you got anything else?
Oh man, no, I'm good, man. This has been a great episode. Miss you, Brock. Let's get together at some point in time.
Man.
Maybe around New Year's. I'll be up north, so we'll get together.
We'll hang out for a minute afterwards.
Yeah,
I still drive past your old apartments every once in a while whenever I'm driving through Canton, and every time I just look over and I just kind of smile, man.
love it.
All right, guys. Thanks. Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to my dad and Uncle Jake on the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2Buctober. Don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are released. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!